So maybe we could begin with your television life at Fox News when you were on a regular basis going up against some pretty well-known names, Sean Hannity and Bill O'Reilly and Megyn Kelly. And as someone who occasionally would catch those segments, and some of them went viral, it always looked like you were tough as nails and had the witty, quick retort. And so when reading your book, it was interesting to hear your own inner experience was very different from what people perceived on the outside. Could you start there and just talk about what you were experiencing?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I would walk off of the set and I would usually call, one of my friends or, my boyfriend, he's now my fiance or something, and I would just say, was I just completely out of control because I was so angry? And they'd be like, "No, you looked completely calm." And I was like, "Because I'm raging on the inside. Like I am filled with so much hatred and contempt right now." And honestly, I really believed that I had screamed and yelled because that's what was happening inside of me. And it was only when I was working on this book, and we'll probably get into this, but one of the things I discovered early on that a big barrier for me with grace was binary thinking, really thinking in black and white, and that I had realized that a lot of that was trauma based, some childhood trauma and some things that happened to me in my adult life. And when I went back through and was working through those issues with the therapist, I started to see that time differently. And I realized I thought I was offering grace. I thought I was being very graceful because that's what it looked like, right? People would often say that you operate with such grace, but really it was a trauma response. And the way I respond to be stress basically or being under attack is to either I fight, sometimes I fight, but mostly I flight. So most people have probably heard of fight, flight, freeze, right? And that means that I disassociate. So I actually sort of remove myself from the situation and I'm able to stay kind of like this on the facts, but all my emotions are gone. And so as I'm experiencing it, I'm not really experiencing my emotions. And so I sort of say it's an important thing to know that behavior is not what grace is about because we can often act like we're acting with grace, but internally we're just like, oh my gosh, like I despise, hate this person. I hold them in such contempt. And so, so I think that when I looked back at as a healthier person, I saw it differently. I saw it actually as being quite dysfunctional environment for me.
Yeah, I mean, you do talk a lot about that binary thinking,
Yeah.
that everything is black or white, but you also, I thought, were very open about how trauma informed that, and that it was in many ways a survival instinct for you to retreat into binary thinking. As much as you're comfortable doing, are you comfortable giving a sense of what that trauma was or what you were experiencing?
Yeah, well, I talk about in the book how around the time that I started really into the world of being on TV and being a public person, because I had had a previous career working in politics and also working in the communications and the private sector. So it coincided with a series of deaths in my family that were very unexpected and very traumatic for me. My father died at 61, just boom, from a heart attack. I was in my mid 30s. My grandmother, who was the most important person in my life, died a year later, and I wasn't able to be with her. Then my stepfather was diagnosed with cancer, and he was dead within a couple of years. A close family friend died. A close family friend, I don't even, some of this isn't even in the book. A close family friend committed suicide. Just was my system was under just an assault, and I did not have the tools or the maturity to deal with it. Death is hard to deal with at any point. Death of parents, death of grandparents at any time is hard to deal with. But when you're older, you have a little more capacity, and you're also around other people who are losing their parents. I was in my mid 30s, and I'd lost my stepfather and my father and my grandmother. I have a little family, right? So it was very traumatizing for me, and I didn't really know how to process that grief, and so I didn't. And it manifested in a lot of ways. And then the childhood trauma was just my parents getting divorced when I was 5, and all of my sort of abandonment issues that I think the deaths really triggered.
Thanks for watching this video clip of the Speak Good podcast. If you'd like to hear the complete episode, please check out your favorite podcast directory and subscribe now. Thanks for watching.